This should really help me get through this. You're allowed to have your own beverage of your choice.
It's too early in the day, Rahul, though it's a Sunday.
What does it matter anymore, man?
I know, the days just melt into each other.
Cheers, man.
Cheers. I just had a cup of tea, so I'll skip that for now.
I'm also having tea. All right, so let's actually start. Cool. All right, so thank you everyone for joining us. We are running live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at the same time. And I'll just give you a brief on what Penny for Thoughts was. So Penny for Thoughts was just an idea that I came up with. I thought, you have a lot of talk shows and you have a lot of interviews going on. And what usually happens is it's completely focused on the expertise of the person or what they do or what they think, always related to their profession. And I feel that people always have their thoughts and opinions about other things too. And some of them, their opinions are pretty accurate and pretty impressive. So I said, let's just do a very casual, lighthearted conversation with people. Get people who I actually think would be interesting. So congratulations, I think you are interesting.
Who you think would be interesting? Operative word.
Yeah. So, and see, for me, one of the most important factors is that somewhere there has to be a takeaway for everyone who's going to watch this. And I think there's nothing better than a takeaway during these times than, talking to people who have achieved their success at their own grit and at their own, at their own passion and their own hard work. So just kind of spun it around. We did a couple of test runs before and it went well. The last one I did was with Swati. She's been one of the pretty crazy people. She's been running every day for the last 800 days, which is quite impressive. Though I think what is critical to mention here is it's not about the distance, it's about the commitment. So
yeah,
whatever distance she can, she does, but she does the minimum of 5 every day, 5K every day.
Wow.
And then the other show we had was we had this guy Kunal Guha, who's responsible for one of the first bike clubs in the city. So cycling and him go hand in hand.
Okay.
But anyways, so folks, without much delaying into this, I'm going to give you a quick brief on Nirmal in case you do not know who he is. Nirmal Agarwal graduated from the prestigious Stanford University with a bachelor's degree in economics and was selected into the Economics Honor Society. Now, excuse me if I butcher it over here, but it's the Omicron Delta Epsilon Society.
Yeah.
He completed his MBA and holds various qualifications in educational counseling, finance, marketing, and human resource management. Nirmal is the founder of COGNIX, which is involved with various education-based initiatives, including career counseling, foreign university admissions, early education, teacher training, and what have you. More than anything else, he's very passionate about working with young students to help them realize their dreams and aspirations. He loves to personally coach his students to enhance their skills and abilities as they prepare for college career and their life coming up ahead of them. So that, in a quick gist, is what Nirmal is all about. And anything else you would want to add to this, Nirmal?
Nothing. I think I'm blessed to have friends like you and good people who value the kind of work we do. And that's about it. Nothing to add over there. We're just friends and we work with our students and parents as family members. So it's not that I'm some hotshot who's done this, done that. It's just the commitment and the trust we build up with them. So nothing much more than that.
All right. So folks, if you're on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, if you have questions, please drop them in the comments and I can get the question straight on the screen and Nirmal can take them on for you. Try not to keep it, very work related. if you have any questions, ask them. So because that I know can, though we'd love to have his opinion on it, but that can get very long, and you need to be a little more focused when you have that conversation. So Nirmal, tell us, what was your family business originally? What was your dad doing originally? Like, what is the family business before you moved ship?
Yeah, very different. I mean, I'm in education, as you all know, but my father used to run a Pareto cold storage. So it's basically warehousing. So in West Bengal, you have these huge buildings all over the countryside which store potatoes in the season when they are not being produced. So potatoes come in between January to March, I think, and then you store it for the rest of the year. So ones you're eating now in your homes are probably coming out of those cold storage units. So my dad had a couple of those cold storages, warehousing. So when I came back, I actually joined him for a couple of years in that business. And then, I just brain fried myself and said, no, I want to do something else, to use my education in some way.
But, when people say potatoes, I always think vodka.
We actually thought about that, that why don't we use the potatoes? And West Bengal used to have surplus potatoes. And we actually thought about making vodka out of potatoes and try to get a collaboration going for that. Thankfully, it failed, and here I am.
So you actually did that.
I would actually have been supplying you vodka, Rahul.
So what made you decide to leave the family business? Was it like an episode or just over a period of time?
No, just over a period of time. I was, in fact, when I came back, I sort of felt it was a reverse brain drain, a reverse culture shock. You get a culture shock when you go to a different country. For me, having lived for more than 4 years and studied there and worked in that atmosphere, it was a reverse culture shock to come back. And the day after I came back, I went to my father. I said, okay, let's start going to the office. And our office was this small, we used to have these gaddis in Bada Bazaar. So our office was a small gaddi in Bada Bazaar with no tables and chairs. We had a gaddi. This kind of a bed where you all sit down. I'm like, what the hell am I doing over here? But, slowly I got used to it and started working with him. But over the next 2 years, actually next 3 to 4 years that I was working with him, I was just not intellectually stimulated and I didn't wake up in the morning thinking, yeah, I'm really excited about going to work. It was just going through the motions. It's the family business. I'm here to help my dad and let me do it. And slowly over time, I said, let me venture out and do something else. And that's when the startup bug bit me, I guess.
All right. So, what I understand is just over a period of time, and then you just said, that's the end of it. And then you moved over to doing this whole startup thing. Now, were you married at that point of time when you decided to transition?
I got married in between when I was working with my dad. So I think my parents sort of figured it out that the only way to keep him back here, even if he's not satisfied with work, is to hitch him and, put a hook on him so that he doesn't run away. And I swear, I think that's what the thinking was. Get him married as soon as possible so he doesn't go back to the US or go back to some other country or go for a master's or something. So within 2 years of coming back, there I was, arranged marriage, typical Marwadi dekha dekhi and all that, ring ceremony. And, I was committed to Shalini. I'll not talk about how that went, but I'm sure you're going to touch upon that, her. So you're going to put me in a tough spot on that. But yeah, I was married in 94. I came back in 92. Within 2 years, my parents decided, yes, it's time to get him married. And beta ye ladki achhi hai, ye dekh lo, family achhi hai. You know how it works in Marwadi families. And there I was saying yes to the first woman I saw. I said, yeah. I mean, I just could not say no to anyone. How it's such a stupid thing, this whole organized, arranged marriage thing. It's like, how can you reject someone? What does it do for that person's confidence? And what does it do for me if some woman comes up to me and say, no, I don't like you. I don't want to get married to you. I would feel so bad. So thankfully, I really appreciated and enjoyed the conversation I had with Shalini. And here we are. But even if I didn't, I wonder, would I have said no? I don't think I would have.
I
don't
think
tell
Netflix
that. I really loved it. Yeah.
I think Netflix should think of getting you on board for a counter episode on why would you say no to the first woman you see.
Right. I think they have this show, right? This arranged marriage show or something. Yeah. I
believe it's there. I also heard about it, and I saw some memes of it, and I just said it's just not worth getting into, man. It just antagonize people, and just let's not get into the mess. Let's watch people get dirty. It's fun that way.
So it's sort of a desi flavor. I think there's a Never Have Ever is based upon an Indian girl. if you've seen that. That's sort of okay, you might want to watch that.
So were you the only sibling or in your family?
No,
or?
I have a younger brother. So he's 3.5 years younger than me. So he was here. He was here, but he could have carried on with the family business. But you know how typical parents are. Nahi, beta, you have to come back and help your dad and come back. Emotional blackmail. And there I was. I had an offer with Mackenzie back when I was graduating. So had to give all that up and come back, pack my bags and came in.
That sounds very familiar. Oh wait, that's like the story of every Indian kid who went abroad in the 90s.
Right. Exactly. Some stayed on, but some got blackmailed or emotional. I mean, I wasn't say blackmail. I wanted to come back. I wanted to be with my family. To set the record straight on that.
Okay.
And you sort of resonate with that, right, Rahul? I mean, you're one of the people who came back.
Yeah, I mean, my story is different. But just we won't get too much into it. But then one fine day, I realized that is it really worth to keep applying for a visa? And the streets are not made of gold. So what the hell? So you got to take a call at some point of time.
Mm-hmm.
So as a child, tell us something. Were you did you get the rod or were you often spared?
I think I was a role model for a lot of people. I was a good kid, good in studies. So,
Sorry, say that again.
Okay, yeah. Good. Back then, if you're good in studies, if you're getting good grades, you're a role model. So my parents would be like, very proud, show off my report card, and people we lived in a building, 10-story building, and people would be like, look up to Nirmal, be like Nirmal and all that. Little did they know what a brat I was in school. I actually used to get caned. I used to tease my teachers. I had teachers running after me with a duster, and they would chase me around the classroom. I remember once I had jumped out of I was
around the class or across the street, because I believe you used to spend a lot of time across the street from La Matinee for Boys.
When I grew up, when I discovered the joys across the street. I was a nice little boy before that. But, I think it was grade 9 when we discovered, there is just a whole new world across the street from us. And we had these socials, every 2 or 3 times a year, we'd have a social where you congregate across the street into the big hall, and you can ask the school girls to dance with you. And, so that was my initiation into the opposite sex. And and that was one of the reasons I joined the Interact Club, because that was the only co-ed club we had in our school. So anyone who's a self-respecting male member of La Matinee for Boys would want to join the Interact Club, because that's a co-ed club. And this is back then, when we didn't really have a lot of interactions.
Interaction. I agree. So Harsha does agree and relates much with the Marwari culture around marriage engagements. Now, I know this is a sticky topic, but someone put it there. I just brought it in, and we'll just leave it at that. So we're not going to get more into that. So, so people actually looked up to you. That's interesting to know. So I know for a fact that you read a lot, and the books behind you in the shelf are a testament to hopefully what you read. I hope you're not a collector. Or I hope that's not Shalini's collection.
No, that's mine, but increasingly a collector. Not getting much time to read now.
Yeah, I like. Okay, tell me something. If we were to open that book closet of yours, how many of those cooking books are going to pile out from there? That I forget the Gujarati lady's name from.
Tarla Dalal, something. Right?
Tarla Dalal. How many Tarla Dalal book lists will
I call her Tadka Dalal, because I think of Tarla Dalal and it reminds me of Tadka. So, or Tadka Dal, that would be even better. Not one. Shalini's books are banned from my room. This is my private space. This is my 12 hours a day right now after the lockdown started. I come in by 8:39 and I don't leave this room unless it's for. I got a new puppy, so if he comes in, I'll show it to you. And I do have one. So unless it is to play with him or have a meal, And thankfully, that has brought peace into my house.
I love the fact that Shalini has allowed you to have a room for yourself. And just the fact that it's got a glass door is even hilarious. So she can keep an eye on you even from outside.
Exactly. It's not even a door, it's a glass wall. She removed the whole wall. So there's just a glass over there.
Man, you are one notorious guy. Yeah, and she can look over your shoulder at the screen and see what you're
And she
browsing
can
at.
see my
That's
screen. I
impressive.
can't do anything naughty anymore. I can't do the things you
Parenting.
send. I can't even watch the things you send me, Rahul.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. So coming back to, I know you read a lot, but did you read a lot of comics when you were growing up?
Oh yeah, I did. Sorry, I'll just come back. There we go. Here we go. Here's a new addition to the family.
Hello,
This is
Brownie.
Oreo.
Oh,
Whatever you
Oreo,
said.
brownie. Yeah.
Oreo, yeah. Well, brownie, Oreo, all the
Nice.
same, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
edible.
So we just got him about a month ago. Thanks. There we go. Go, baby. Sorry, go ahead, Rahul.
So what comics did you read when you were growing up?
I loved Archie. I think everyone did, but I used to love the Archie series. You remember
Betty or
these things which
Veronica?
used to?
Betty or Veronica?
I mean, I'm a Betty kind of a person. You know, Veronica is an affair. Betty is marriage. So I hope my wife is not watching. Or my students
Hope
are
your
not
daughter's
watching.
not
I'll
watching.
get. My daughter just
What
wanted to
if your
fuck me
students are
YouTube.
watching? I think you'll still be safe because I don't know if this generation knows Archie. So I'm just going on a limb here.
They know it on Netflix, right? I mean, there's this. I think there's a show called Riverdale or something, which is a take on the modern take on Archie, Veronica, Betty, and all these guys.
Oh,
Yeah,
crap,
so they
that
know
sounds
it, but
good.
in a different form altogether. It's scandalous, actually. I mean, I saw my daughter watching. I'm like, what the hell is that? It's called Riverdale and it's got Archie and all in it. It's nothing like what we know. But I used to love
So do
Amar.
you
I don't
still
know if you remember the Amar Chitra Kathas. I think
Amar
I
Chitra
used to
Kathas,
love them.
Indrojal
I think,
comics?
yeah, they are legendary. Amar Chitra Katha is the best thing that could be done for the education of our children. There was so much to learn from them, and I know my nani's house used to collect Amar Chitra Kathas. So the only way I would accompany my mom to her weekly visits to my nani's place would be that I can spend the whole day going over their comic selection, collection, etc. No, so that was
So
the
then
only incentive I had to go there.
by the sounds of it, you were never like a Billu or a Champak kind of a guy.
No. I did read Champak, I think, but I don't even know who Billu is, to be honest.
One of those
But there was
small
this
Diamond
Chacha
comics.
Chaudhary that I remember. Okay, Chacha Chaudhary I
Diamond
remember.
comics.
Chacha Chaudhary ka dimag computer se bhi tej chalta hai, something like that. Oh, my daughter
That's
says
not
I'm very
good.
much here. Oh my God.
So, as is Shalini. So,
As
what are
is
your
Shalini.
fondest
Thanks.
memories of junior school days? Other than standing outside LMG, I suppose.
So junior school was thankfully not LMG days. Junior school, you mean before class 5, right? So I joined
Uh,
Lamartine in class
Before
4,
class
grade
12,
4.
sorry. Before class 12,
Okay,
your junior school
high
days.
school days. Okay, yeah,
High
junior
school days,
school.
yeah.
Okay, right, high school days. Um, I think it was just. I think I treasure my school life because I was naughty, and I was naughty in a good way. I was not bad naughty. I was not. I was not mean to people. I was not rude. I didn't do any shararat, so to say, for the sake of hurting anyone. It was just fun, and we used to have fun with teachers, fun with other students, new students, bully them, but in a good way, etc. And people would not believe that this, good kid who studies so much and comes first in class could be so naughty. And I was actually the naughtiest kid in my class. And in fact, there was one time I remember, this was a fun memory. It was grade 11, I think. My father was called in by my vice principal and warned that in case your son does any more naughtiness, anything, he's going to be chucked out of the school. And we are keeping him only because he's the good student. Otherwise, he's out of here. He was actually warned. I was so bad. So those memories are great, just having fun with teachers and the group of friends we had.
Crazy. So now, tell me a little more about, actually tell all of us a little more about when did you, in that whole process of shifting over from your family business and, doing the startup. Oh, by the way, kids, startup, the word existed even before you were born. So don't wear it like a brand, like a brag factor. Oh, I am a startup. Dude, your
I know.
grandparents and your parents have been doing it for generations.
Exactly.
Just because just because there's an English word for it doesn't mean that they didn't have a galla. So
That's so true.
So sorry.
I mean, I tell that to students, startup is such a cool word now, but don't you think your grandfather had a startup? Weren't they in the startup generation also? It's just so cool now.
Yeah. So when you were in the whole process of doing a startup and getting into thing or just trying to figure out what you wanted to do, when did you first realize that education is the field that you wanted to get into? Because you know the early 90s weren't the I would say it wasn't rife with people jumping or applying for kind of stuff or wanting guidance in education other than tuition master G or
Right,
school teacher.
right. So I think this was way back in '96, and I was looking for something to do. And I think it was a paper ad I saw where a UK-based university was looking at partners in India to set up a fashion and management education, a college basically, or a study center here. And that was a time when I was looking
Right.
at doing something. And I said, oh, this seems interesting. And I was never interested in education as such as a business before that. But that seemed interesting. And I reached out to them and things worked out. And that's how I started, I think, in early '97 on my education journey. So even ever since I came back, I was always, people used to come to me and who are applying abroad that, Nirmal, I need help. You went to some good university or you got into some good university. So please help me. How do I apply, etc. So that was going on just as a hobby, as anyone would come to you and ask for tips on photography. I've done
Yeah.
that and others have done that. So I would just help people out. Okay, do this, do that, write your essay like this. And that's what's going on for about 20 years, I think, before I got into it professionally. But my education journey started with this franchise of a UK-based college for their fashion and management courses in Kolkata, Calcutta
Okay.
at that time. So that's how I started,
Okay.
and since then I have been in education in multiple ventures. So that lasted for about 4 to 5 years. I started something else. I started my own management and IT college, basically education firm. That lasted for a few years. Got into preschools, which Shalini, my wife, handles. It's called Star Kids. So that's been going on for the last, I think, 10 years. Then in 2013, I got into educational counseling, career counseling, and college counseling because I was doing it as a hobby over the years. And I built up sort of an expertise in it. Then I said, let me do it professionally because this is something I love doing. And this is something I want to retire with. I love working with
Okay.
young kids. I love making a difference in helping them achieve their dreams in whatever way possible. And that bug bit me really big. And
So about what
I
time would
just took
this
a deep
be?
dive.
Because
This
which about
2013,
which year
just
would this be? So
2013.
13 is when you decided to take the deep dive into it, like
Yeah, into this
completely.
particular career counseling and college counseling professionally. I
Okay.
was helping kids before that, but professionally it
Yeah.
was just 7 years ago.
Okay. So it's basically would be safe assumption that from 1997 to 2013 you were doing businesses around this, and then eventually it took you a lot of time. I mean, it took you that timeline to kind of figure out that yes, this is something which I
Mhm.
should completely focus on.
Right, right, right.
So
I
it
was
takes
doing a
time to
lot of
figure out what your passion
education.
is.
True, true. And I think that's a great message that you just said. And sometimes, you might think this is the rest of my life, but it never is it? And I know there was a statistic I was reading that 2/3 of the students who study a particular major in college never use that in their life. You might think this is my passion and this is what I'm going to study, and my career
True,
is
I
going to be
agree with
around
that.
that. And you're
I
probably
agree with that.
one of the 1/3 who have actually made a career out of what you studied. But I did computer science and economics in college. I don't think I've ever used that. Maybe my knowledge of economics has helped me in business, but I don't think I've directly used economics or computer science in anything.
Right. No, but I mean, I'm just the 1/3 who decided that I can't do what the 2/3, what the others were doing, and then I decided to go back to college for what I was passionate about. So
Yeah,
there's a kind of, that's.
yeah.
But anyways, I mean, so now, what are your thoughts on having a counselor versus not having a counselor? Because I mean, for someone like you and me, we both made it to fairly decent colleges. You made it to
Yeah.
an Ivy League. It's Ivy League, right? Stanford is Ivy League.
No, Stanford is not an Ivy League. So
Okay,
Ivy
so
League,
that's an outstanding
I'm
college.
surprised you don't know, Rahul. Ivy League is a
We've
group
had
of
this
8 colleges only.
conversation. Yes, we've had this conversation. The whole idea is just to get you a little.
Ah, okay. You're priming me to say that, right? So Ivy is a group of 8
India
colleges
wants
who
to
play
know.
sports. Yeah, Stanford, MIT, Caltech, these places are
Yeah.
not Ivies, so to say. Yeah.
Fair enough. They don't. I mean, that's fine. So, like, what I mean to say is your personal thoughts, and this kind of defeats what you are doing. But what I'm trying to ask is your thoughts on having a counselor versus not having a
Mhm.
counselor, because
Yeah.
someone like you and me, we've been to those colleges, we've done what we had to do, and
Mhm.
fairly decent at it, I would say. And
Yeah.
we didn't have any counselors at then. So
Right.
I'm
I don't
sure there
think
are
any
still some kids
counselors
who apply on
existed.
their own.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think that any counselors existed at that time, or none that I'd heard of. And I don't know if you'd heard of any counselors at that time.
No, no, no.
No
I
one
didn't even
was,
know.
yeah, no one was aware of anything like this. I think, things have gotten more complicated over the years. It was a little bit more simple to apply at that time and less competitive. I know when I was
Mhm.
applying, Stanford probably had an acceptance rate of 15%. And I got into
50.
four Ivy, one five.
1 5. Okay,
Right.
50.
Yeah. So I got into four Ivy Leagues with a full scholarship. I got into Stanford, but I can't really imagine kids nowadays getting into four Ivies and Stanford, etc. It's
Hmm.
unimaginable. And you're lucky if you get into
Hmm.
one Ivy because it is so much more
Correct.
competitive. The number of applications have grown because being online is just easier to
Hmm.
apply. We had to do everything on pen and paper and type out things. We didn't
Pen,
even have
paper,
a
and
computer. Yeah, and we had to courier
courier.
it,
No, no,
all the
no.
applications.
Courier
Exactly.
it.
Right,
I
exactly.
remember FedEx was not that large, so
It
the
was
only
wasn't
choices you
there,
had was
yeah.
Blue Dart and TNT. There
Hmm.
was one called TNT. I
Yes,
think TNT
TNT.
still
I remember.
exists.
I remember
Using
TNT.
Indian Post was a disaster because they never got
Yeah.
it. So, and the only counseling that you could get was hope that someone's friend's son is in some college and you write to them or call them, and if they
Right.
feel like helping you. So that was the only
Absolutely.
counseling you could get.
Exactly. I still remember those couriers, big, thick packets we used to make. And I remember going to this place in Dimple Court, which had a TNT office or something on Theatre
Yeah.
Road near your place. Yeah, just off Wood Street where
Ooh.
you stay. And we would just put it there, and within 4 to 5 days, it would reach the college. And then we would wait for the snail mail to come back that, yes, we accepted your packet and we've got everything we need. It was just crazy. And it's things kids have it easy in one way, but then it's just so much more competitive because more and more kids are applying to more and more universities. So yes, it does help to get an expert view because it's a rapidly changing landscape. And as a
Mm-hmm.
kid, as a parent, sometimes you're not fully aware of what is going on, and there's so much more
Okay.
complicacy in this that it always helps to get someone. It doesn't have to be a paid counselor. It could be a school counselor who might be in the know, who's supposed to help you for free. So I'm not advocating that you should always get a paid counselor. Obviously, that's a family's choice. And if they think,
Yeah.
yes, it will help us to go to someone who can navigate this process with us, by all means, and there's a lot of people out there
Mm-hmm.
all over the country who can help you with this.
Yeah. Well, on a lighter note, I think one of the reasons why we didn't have too many applications is because you had to pay for the courier by the weight. So it wasn't like a flat fee. The bigger your
Right.
application, the more stuff you sent out. You had to pay
Right.
by the weight. So automatically your ticker would start. Like I think I'll just
Right.
apply to two or three.
Absolutely.
So
Did you send in a portfolio when you applied? So I'm sure that was a heavy one.
no.
Yeah.
So the only saving grace for me was that because I was already involved in this industry, I had access to scanners, and
Hmm.
these were these large SCSI card
Okay.
scanners. So
Correct.
I did the math. I said it just makes more sense to invest in a scanner and
Hmm.
scan it and send it over email. And email was again through Poddar code through BSNL. So you
Okay.
have to stand
So
in line and
when
get
when did you
the
apply? Because we didn't have email when I was applying. So it must be
late
after
90s,
90s.
early
Yeah, yeah,
2000.
yeah.
Yeah, late
Are you
90s,
are you
early
that much
2000s.
younger than I am? Oh my God. I feel so old suddenly.
Yeah, you are old. You graduated your class of 92. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. Well, too long
so
ago, as I said.
let's count 92,
All
2002,
right. I get the
2003.
message.
So, anything you wish that you had learned before you went to Stanford? Like, the moment you land at Stanford, you're like, Arit Teri,
Yeah.
I wish I
Ah.
knew this.
It was actually an Otteri moment. It's like, damn, it's you're in a cauldron of these supercharged, adrenaline heavy junkies studying excellent. You got Olympic athletes around you. You got people who've done research, authored papers, and all. I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? And that's what I like to tell students: that go to a place where you're going to fit in. Where you can be challenged. I was out of my depth. I don't mind admitting it. I was out of my depth.
That's important. And I'm so happy that. No, sorry. Go ahead.
I don't mind admitting it. Yeah, my first paper that I wrote, English paper. I mean, I'm this kid from Lamartine, the topper. Got a gold medal and all that stuff. Wearing my collar high. Go there. Yeah, obviously I'll do well even when I go to college. My first paper that I wrote for an English class, it comes back to me with a C, and I'm devastated. What the hell? I've never got a C in my life. Devastated.
So let me ask you this: looking at that paper with C written on it.
Yeah.
Did you remember that gold medal?
No, I didn't remember anything. I just saw that C. But
so it was not worth
jokes apart, it was not worth it. But I went to my teacher, and again, it's a message for everyone: ask for help. Go to the people who are there to guide you, who are there to advise you. Don't stay in your silo. Go out. I went to my teacher and I said, I need help. What did I do wrong here? This is how I write in school. This is how I used to write in school. Isn't this how it's supposed to be written? And he sat down and spent time with me and told me where I was making those mistakes. And by the end of the semester, I was up to an A. So yeah, I learned quickly, but it was a deep dive and very sudden dive. You're just thrown in the deep end of the pool suddenly. So yeah, that was it. But I wish I had some advisors who can help me, who could have helped me choose properly. It was just on my own.
So things happen when you step out of the proverbial well.
Yeah,
that's how I say it. So now coming back, fast forwarding to where we are today, do you have a career coach or a mentor who you run to for advice? Even today, like I'm talking about now.
Unfortunately, no. And that's one thing I've been lacking throughout my life is I don't think I've ever had anyone, not even in family, who I've been to and suggest how could I do this better? What businesses could I do? How can I make my business better? How could I grow it? Of late, I've been asking other people who I know are well established. So with my network now, which is expanding, I'm able to ask a lot more now. But at this age, it doesn't. So unfortunately, I don't really have someone like that, a mentor or something.
All right. So, and I know for a fact that you play a lot of late, you've been playing a lot of golf. And can you share about that one trip to Thailand where you went to play golf?
Yeah, I went to play golf, and we actually do an annual trip. I don't like the naughty smile on your face, but we do an annual trip, all of us along with our wives. So I just want to put the record straight on that. And we do go to Thailand. It's a good vacation. Yeah, it's a good vacation. About 4 to 5 days. We play 3 to 4 rounds of golf, enjoy ourselves, and it's a good downtime for the whole family. So it's really fun. They have some amazing golf courses. For those who are listening in who are into golf, I think it's a trip you should be making. They have some fantastic golf courses there.
So do you think one of the things that you'd want, I would assume, when I met you at the airport and we were discussing that, you said you're going to go to Bangkok for a trip, and we discussed and you said the golf course is something that you've been looking forward to. So do you think there are other golf courses around the world that you'd want to go down and like you'd make an effort to go and play in some course in Japan or
definitely.
I don't know if Sweden?
I think every self-respecting golfer, every self-respecting golfer would love to play in St. Andrews, which is the oldest golf course in the world. That's in St. Andrews in Scotland. So that's a bucket list for me. I want to play there. In fact, I spoke to my friends, and there's this Ryder Cup which is held, which is USA versus Euro, which is held once in 2 years. And we talked about trying to go and see that and playing golf in that area. So maybe over the next 2 years, we'll probably end up doing that as well.
I don't know Atiba Vijay. She's the person.
Atiba is, I know. I'm here too. Thanks, Atiba. Hi.
So now, while you're on the golf course, I know golf is a pretty competitive game, and those who are in it, like they get like pretty worked up. Like they get very emotional about the score at the end. Now, do you ever have selective amnesia on the golf course when you're putting down the score sheet?
Uh, no, I don't think so. Though my friends would love to
Okay.
say that I have a lower handicap than I claim to have because I
Okay.
beat them quite often. So I don't have selective amnesia. But I know many golfers who do, and most famous amongst them is the President of the United States of America. He is known to have selective amnesia on his scorecard.
All right, we're not gonna go
All
political
right,
here.
all right, we're not
Let's
going to go there, right? No,
say.
no orange-haired people on our conversation.
Yeah, but I do know, folks, that I've known Nirmal for I think over 10 years now, and I used to give him a name that I used to call him the. So that's what I've always called him, and I still hold by it. So, on a serious note, there is a fine line between being foolish and being brave. How brave do you think should a student be on the college application?
Let me give you an example. I think because you asked that question, I remember my
Yeah,
application to Stanford, and that was a paper application. We didn't have
yeah.
online
You have the
applications.
forms
So
and your printer. Yeah,
exactly the forms, and you had to either type into
yeah, yeah,
them or write into them,
yeah.
etc. So there was one question which had a space about this CA big, and it said, "Is there anything else you would want us to know about you?" And I drew a caricature of a classroom going on with teachers and students inside, and myself standing outside with punished, like a murga or something. And the caption was, "I have always been an outstanding student." So that I don't know, that might actually have been foolish, or it might have been brave. So I don't know where you draw that line. I got into Stanford, so maybe it was brave. If I had not gotten, I might have thought it was foolish. But I would rather err on the side of being brave rather
Yeah.
than foolish. Yeah, because I mean, life is about risk. You have to take risks to gain. No risk, no pain, no gain, as they say.
So it's a funny thing you say that, because my very next question was, should one strive to have an outstanding application or a standout application?
Okay, so I was standing out for an outstanding application. Um, I think you need to be honest. I think I'll just turn that question around a bit. You don't need an outstanding application. You don't need a standout application. If you are unique, if you are who you are, and you can present that in an application well, that itself will be a standout, because colleges are looking to get you into them and understand how you fit into their student body. It's not
Mhm.
about, I want only this particular kind of student and no one else. And you
Mhm.
understand this better than a lot of people because you've been there. It's a
Yeah,
whole well-rounded student body. There will be
yeah.
people who will be photographers, who are in drama, who are good in academics, who are researchers, who are scientists, who can write poetry, all kinds of people. So if you have a unique talent, or if you're special in some way, and everyone is special, don't ever let anyone tell you that you're not special. You just might not know what you're good at,
So
right?
it's,
But
it's
so
fantastic that you segue into this, because I have a massive stack of participation certificates, and does that really help me with my application?
Uh, it's not the quantity, it's not the number of things you've done. I think it's the depth with which you've done a few things. So if you're into theater, damn it. Yeah, go put them in the attic. If you're into theater, and how are you doing performances? Are you a lead actor? Are you going around traveling with a troupe all over the country and performing in India Habitat Center here and there, etc.? That counts rather than, okay, I do theater, I'm in the class play, then I sing, and I've sung in my community, in my building, etc. So it's not the number of things you do or the number of certificates you've collected which are gathering dust. It's a few things that you're passionate about, committed about, and you're doing for a number of years with achievement and passion.
Mhm.
That's what counts for much more.
About by achievement, you mean in terms of always first place, or is it okay to be somewhere near the top?
Yeah, some as good as you can be. So if you're playing a sport, are you at school? If you're school team, that's good achievement. You might be state team, that's even better.
Hmm.
You might be representing the state at the nationals, etc., etc. So the level of achievement, the depth of your achievement. If it's an Olympiad, have you qualified for the regionals? Have you qualified for the nationals?
Makes
So
sense.
if it's music, then you might be taking the Trinity exams, level 1, level 2, all the way to level 8. So if you want to
Hmm.
go up to level 8, that counts for much more than I've never taken an exam. I just learned synthesizer by watching YouTube, which is good, but not as good as that kid who has taken level 8 of
Yeah,
piano.
level eight. Of course, of course, of course, makes sense. So that's great. Now, lastly, what do you think is? I mean, which side would you take? Doing the right thing or looking good?
That's such an obvious question to ask me on in the public forum, and maybe my answer will be different. But no, it's the same answer. I'm doing the right thing, obviously, anytime, and that's how I've
Because
lived
why
my
I
life.
ask you,
Ah,
yeah, no, why I ask you is because, see, one, like the very basic reason why I thought this would be a good question to ask you is because I know you just say what it is. You're not going to, be very diplomatic about it. Something you just, what is, and there's really
mhm.
not, no hiding about it. So that's why I asked you. But it's also very important because, see, as a student counselor, what happens is I think you leave a lot of impression on the kids who even come to
Yeah,
speak with you the first time, whether or not they convert into clients or they need your help on the bigger picture or not. But even when your friends, when you're meeting your friends, their kids have been around you. Some of the kids have grown up in front of you. So it, I mean, not as a counselor, but as someone
mhm.
who they look up to. So it does matter whether you
It does.
have the same vibe.
I totally agree. And I think, if you are in the position that I'm in, when kids are maybe
Hmm.
looking up to you, I hope they're looking up to you, or they're saying, yeah, this person is going to help me, you have to walk the talk. If I'm going to be asking them to do something or represent their applications in a certain way, ethically, in a morally right way, I need to walk the talk. I need to live my life just like that. I cannot be
Got it.
doing the wrong things. I cannot be cheating, or I don't, for lack of a better word, cheating around what I
Hmm.
say, or falsely claiming something and doing the wrong things if I want my
Hmm.
kids to look up to me and do the right things. And even when I was not working with kids, I don't think I've ever willingly or knowingly, with intention, hurt anyone or done anything wrong to anyone. That's one thing I can go to my deathbed with, that firm knowledge and
I have a
comfort.
diary. I have a diary that says otherwise.
Yeah, yeah, we'll talk about that over our drink tonight.
No, I'm just kidding. This is just no. He's
We
he's a
all know
kid.
you by now, Rahul.
Yeah, people know me. So that's great. I mean, and it's pretty much covered. I thought I'll start with where you started, and how you transitioned, and a little bit of tidbit fun facts. And I'm glad you shared this information, which is on the ticker below. That what it does is, for me, it negates all these basic questions that people would want to know. So all the pleasantries and all that is out of the way, and the ticker is where people can. Okay, we got some question.
Okay.
Oh, wow, this is interesting. Wendy says yes for bravery and yes for the
Hi,
right thing.
Wendy. How are you doing? Thanks for tuning in.
It's the perfect time, Wendy,
Wendy's a
because this is
colleague.
the.
Yeah, Wendy's a colleague. She's in Japan right now. She's a colleague in the counseling community. And we used to meet once a year at the annual conferences we attended in the US for counselors. Unfortunately, we could not meet this year. So big shout out to you, Wendy. Thanks for being there.
The perfect time because I'm going to share my screen. I've got some stuff to pull up on Nirmal.
Oosh.
Now, let me
I'm
just.
logging off, Rahul. This is not right.
So
You
I'll
didn't warn me
still
about these
show.
things. Oh,
See, that's
God.
the whole point. This is not like a rigged interview that happened on TV very recently between two actors. Okay, where I know what questions I'm going to tell you, you already know what answers you're going to give me, and it doesn't work like that. So, and anyway, it's very casual. It's no harm, no foul. It's very casual, and then
Okay.
liquid courage has been going on, so you can blame liquid courage.
Yeah, here's mine. This used to be a bottle of vodka. Now it's a water bottle.
Yeah, yeah, that's what she said. Okay, let me get into sharing the screen. I want to make sure I'm sharing the correct screen because it'll be embarrassing if it is some other screen.
For you, yeah.
Yeah, for everyone, especially for you. Because I've got one screen like I'm going to ask, and the other is like should I ask? Depends on temperament of how things are going. Okay, so here we go. And that's okay. You don't have to sweat so hard, Nirmal.
No, my air conditioner is not working for some reason. Anyways, and it's a hot day, as I told
So
you.
tell us about this
Ah,
photograph.
oh my God, you had to bring that up. Ah,
It's one of the few I could find. You're very difficult.
okay.
You've done pretty well with hiding your digital tracks. I must give you that.
That's actually Shanawaz Ahmed. He's no more. He
Oh, I'm
passed
sorry.
on 3 years ago from prostate cancer. Used to stay in London, but we went to school together. And this photograph is from his marriage day. And I was the one who helped him elope. And we got him married at another friend's house. And this is from that day. So he's Muslim, and he fell in love with a Bengali girl from Shirampur, I think, yeah, from near Kolkata. And the
Okay.
families didn't accept it, and I helped them elope and got them married. And this photograph is from that time.
Okay. No, I thought, when I looked at this photograph, it just felt like it was a very happy and a festive moment. And I thought that
Yeah.
there's got to be a very interesting story behind this. So
Yeah.
let me bring this up, and then maybe we can get some story. But I'm really sorry I wasn't aware.
No. Obviously not. Obviously, but yeah, thanks for bringing him up because I owe a lot to him, and I want to say that here because I think a couple of the universities required a peer recommendation, and he was the guy who wrote my peer recommendation for me when I was applying to college.
Okay. Okay.
So thanks for bringing that up.
You're welcome. The other one I have for you is.
I'm scared now. Okay.
I'll get this. This is with Zishan, and I know you were very
Zishan.
active in Roundtable. So if you can tell us a little more about your timeline in Roundtable.
Sure. So it's Zishan's birthday today, so it's strange that you'd bring that up now. Happy birthday, Zishan, in case you get to watch
Happy
this.
birthday, in case you're watching this.
Right. So Roundtable, if some of you know, is this fellowship and service organization that Rahul, you were part of as well. And I joined pretty late. We retired in Roundtable. We retire when we are 40. They like to keep the organization young, and as soon as we reach 40 and become old like I am or Rahul is, we get chucked out of the organization. And I joined when I was 35.
Before. Yeah. No, I quit before time, and
they probably made you quit
before. No, I quit before time, and I completely agree that the age limit is 40, but there are methods where people linger on for even longer periods of time. I don't know this. Whatever.
Yeah,
so sorry.
But I had a great time in Roundtable. I think a lot of the person I am today is from those 5 to 6 years I spent in Roundtable. And I owe a few things to Roundtable. Number one is the amazing friends I've made. Some of my best friends right now, and I met you through Roundtable as well. Some of my best friends right now are people I've met during my Roundtable days, those 5-7 years. My confidence in speaking in public came from Roundtable because that gave me the opportunity to be and to speak in front of the public. And I was a very hesitant speaker before that. Today, I can stand up in front of any audience and talk on any topic, not caring if I'm right or wrong, but I have the confidence to speak. And that came from Roundtable as well. And the thirdly, I would say, is the huge network I have now across the country of people who know me and we get along so well. So I owe a lot to my days in Roundtable.
Okay.
Zishan is one of the great friends I made in Roundtable, yeah.
That's good. So I also fondly remember Zishan because he's notorious for the act of sergeanting and
yes.
a genuinely lovable and a helpful person.
Yes.
And no matter how serious or bad day you're having, this guy can make you laugh. I mean, this guy is just a genius.
Yeah.
So, what about this one?
Okay, that's amazing. Were you in Roundtable in this was 2005?
No, I wasn't.
You weren't, right?
That.
So this is the national AGM. This is the national AGM of Roundtable, which was held in Kolkata at that time. And there's about more than 1,000 people who come to Kolkata for the conference and the parties and all that. And we had this concept of maybe 7 to 10 parties we were hosting, different tables were hosting all over the city in different pubs. And Samrendra was the other guy in that police uniform. And
I know Samrendra, yeah.
Samrendra, right. So we were in charge of these parties. And what we decided is a lot of these people from all over the country don't really know us. So we're going to dress up as policemen and go in and disrupt these parties and crack our dandas and say that we have to shut down the party, you're violating liquor laws, and it's too late, and there's some hanky panky going on here. What is women doing here, etc. And there were some people who didn't know us actually believed that we were policemen, and they were offering us money. One guy took us to the side and said, "Bhai, kuch paisa le le, chhod de hame, let us party. Hum Chennai se aaye hain, on his South Indian Hindi. Are Chennai se aaye hain, you take money, yeah." So we actually got offered money when we were doing this. It was hilarious. We had such a great time doing that.
Terrible.
It was
So this is there, and
Round
then,
had some great memories.
Of course, and I would put in here that yes, I agree with you that you make some phenomenal friends through the movement of Roundtable, and a lot of people I know also across India are through Roundtable, and definitely good friends. So there's no doubt in that. And for this one, this is one of my favorite photos that I found of you, and I think Stanford sweatshirt and Notre Dame sweatshirt, that says it all. So when Avni was applying for her university, when she finally decided, I remember, I think we'd gone to Tengra for a dinner one time with all the kids were also there, and then we were just talking about it, and then I think that's when personally I could tell that it started sinking in your head and Shalini's head that the bird's gonna fly away real soon. So when she applied for her college applications, how much help did you I guess what I'm trying to ask you is, did you go over and beyond in making sure that she had a good application, or did you just kind of guide her and definitely she put her effort in?
So I'm going to answer that question in a minute. I just want to share the story behind this because I think it's amazing. Stanford and Notre Dame are arch rivals when it comes to football, American football. They are really arch rivals. And this is our annual tradition. Whenever there's a Stanford Notre Dame game on, she used to be at Notre Dame or the other side of the world, and we would be watching it. I would be following it on my feed, and she'd be watching it live over there. And we'd just go at it, at each other all the time. And the first, I think, year, only 1 out of the 5 years she was there, I think Stanford won. So it's a 4-to-1 ratio in her favor. And she actually went to Stanford last year after she graduated and caught the Notre Dame Stanford game live at the Stanford Stadium and helped Notre Dame beat Stanford.
Nice.
So that's not a claim to fame I have, but I love this picture. I love my kid. She's just an awesome person. And going back to your question now, in fact, I did not help Avni at all. Because, kids, how kids are, they are not going to listen to parents. And I did try to help her, but it was always getting into a fight. You have not done this, you've not done that. I finally gave up. And thankfully, my friend from Hyderabad, Gautam, who you know as well, was also started this work with me in terms of the professional engagement as a counselor. So Gautam really helped Avni through her application process and handheld her as a counselor in that. So Avni owes a lot of her Notre Dame achievement to Gautam much more than I.
Well, I do agree to the fact that, kids would rather just kind of listen to their parents and, keep it as a, okay, by the way, kind of input. So that's pretty much it, Nirmal. I mean, we just had some basic questions to ask, and that's the basic game plan of this show that, I'm putting together. And any closing remarks that you'd have for any student who are watching, or parents? I think more than students, I think some parents are just so worked up and like as if they are going to get admitted into college. So
I get those parents a lot. If you see some of the chats I have with parents, it's like 15 chats coming back to back, and suddenly I wake up and say there's 15 from this parent. I have to reply finally. So, but my message to everyone is just to take life easy. Just chill. Your kids are going to find a safety net to fall into. We might aspire for a lot, but let them live their life. Don't put so much pressure on them. They already have a lot of pressure with peers, people who are doing much better than they are, and they're looking up to them and say, why can't I do that? Kids are going through a lot of stuff nowadays, academic pressure. I mean, you'll be surprised the kind of pressure they have on how good you should look. I mean, this whole Instagram generation,
Yeah,
Instagram is
yeah.
great for reaching out, but there's a certain pressure on you looking good. Everyone's posting these great selfies and maybe morphing themselves to put it out there. And there's huge body image there's self-esteem issues kids are having. Don't add on to
Mhm.
that. You need to be there as a pillar of support. You need to be there as someone they can come to for help and not avoid. That don't put any pressure on them. Let them live. Yes, you need to be there. It's like, I like to use an analogy. It's like holding some water in the palm of your hands like this.
Hands, yeah.
If you clasp your hand too tight, all the water is going to fall off, right? It's not going to remain there. If you let it too loose, it's still going to fall off. So there's this great
Yeah.
balance you need to have when you hold water, and your kids are like water. Hold them properly in your hand. Don't let it go so it falls off, and don't clasp it so tight that it's going to sprinkle out. So just be very careful and give a good balance, give a supportive atmosphere to your kids. And Rahul, great show, I think. And one more message I want to dovetail with what you're doing. I mean, we are in a time when you really have to change with the times. And you keep hearing this often: pivot or perish. Change with the times or you get thrown out of the market.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
what you're
yeah.
doing is adapting to the new normal, adapting to new technology, and doing so many more things on a live platform right now. So you're showing how we can pivot and still remain relevant. So that's the learning we can take away from your show here right now. That we need to move with the times and adapt to the best possible scenario we can make out of any adversity.
Well, thank you so much for that. But I think what is more important is that I am hoping to get more and more people who I feel have, skipped the proverbial silver spoon and have made their own silver spoon. And that is my intention with the show. The idea is not to preach, but it's just so that, the guests on the show can share their story. And maybe someone somewhere gets inspired for it and takes the right choice, or maybe even, if people can laugh about this and have a brighter day, I'm good with that. So Nirmal, thank you so much. This was so great, and I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. um, Fantastic. You have a lot of things to answer now to Shalini. She's waiting outside. I am told that there's a broom in the hand. There's a little chat going on over here.
Yep.
Nidhi says
Thanks.
this is a
Yeah.
brilliant and candid talk. Our dear friend Vikram
Oh,
Podar,
hi,
you owe
Vikram.
us another one of your phenomenal biryani parties at Nirmal's
Yes.
house. I've got you the venue. I've told you the menu. Make it happen.
And the guest list includes Rahul, obviously.
What? Duh, like seriously.
I still remember the last time you had that biryani. We had to take you out of that place after like 1 hour of constant eating.
Man, that you know what? That food was good, and it was good company. Let's not forget that there was good
So do you
company
mean
that night.
Shalini's cooking is not good, Rahul?
I haven't been invited for Shalini's cooking ever.
Oh, I'm sure there was Shalini's cooking at the same time that day. Because
She
you
doesn't make
focused on the
biryani.
biryani. You
The
focused on
biryani
the
and the chicken
biryani which
chop.
came from
The
us.
biryani and the chicken chop. See, talking about what I heard 10 years ago will not save you from the broom outside. So
Yeah.
that is okay. So we got a couple of more messages. Anjali says, good show, uncles. Yeah, thanks for
Hi,
rubbing that in.
Anjali. I loved her American drawl. Good to hear, great to hear y'all after so long.
Yeah,
She's already
yeah.
covered.
Y'all
So
better know what you're talking. As long as the hands don't go showing like this, I think I'm going to be perfectly all right.
the American drawl came in within 2 years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then Kunal's appreciating the show. So thank you so much, Nirmal. I think we'll wrap it up. Let's not push it too long. I've got to go and have some lunch. Enough of liquid courage. And it's been a great show. Guys, please feel free to pop in some questions. You can reach Nirmal down at the number at the bottom over there. If you are seeing the show through Facebook, that means you can either connect with Nirmal or through to me. Please drop in messages. I'd love to hear places or ways how I can better this interaction. And also, what kind of people would you like me to get on the show? I have a list ready. This happens every week. And we'll try to accommodate as many as we can. So, thank you so much. Have a good day. Nirmal, thank
Thanks,
you.
guys. Thanks for being there. Thanks, Rahul, for having me. It was a great show. Thanks. Bye bye.
All right, bye.